and welcome to Ultimate Brains. I'm your host Fiona, and today it's all about walking with Andrew White. Hi Andrew.
Hello there.
And don't forget Brains.
Hello Andrew, hi Fiona.
So then Andrew, walking's a little thing you know quite a lot about. How do you go about starting to walk? Where do you find a walk?
Well, the easiest thing to do is, if you go to your local library, you can get books from your local library. You can also find lots of great books in a bookstore or online. And they will give you lots of different advice as to where to go walking in a certain area. There's also websites that you can go and have a look at as well. So there's plenty of ways to get walks and to find out where to walk.
Yep, one of the things I find is there's places I'd love to walk, but I never know whether you have the permission to walk them or not. How do you find things like that out?
Well, the best way with that is to get an Ordnance Survey map. You can get the big paper maps, which are lovely to use, or you can use them on your phone now. There's an app that you can subscribe to, and you get all the access to the maps all across the country on there. And then they will tell you where public rights of way are. Now, that's the way that you can go out walking confidently.
Yeah.
They're your public footpaths, your bridle ways, and things like that. So you want to be looking for those kinds of things. But we have now something called the Countryside and Rights of Way Act in England and Wales.
Yeah.
And that means that you can, very designated areas across the country, you can go walking without having to have a footpath. And you can do that.
Really?
In Scotland, it's even better because you have an access to right to roam everywhere.
Wow.
Apart from people's gardens and sports stadiums and things like that, but you can go anywhere.
So pretty much if it's not fenced off, you can just have a little stroll?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But the best way, if you're going to start walking, is to not be fussed about that, is to go on the footpaths.
Yes.
And then, of course, you can get out there, and if you lose your way, if you're not that careful with, confident with maps, you can always turn back and walk back.
Yeah.
So that's a great way of doing it.
You did mention to me before there was something mass trespass.
Yeah, you see, that's where we haven't always had the right to walk anywhere, or basically to walk, actually. The landowners of the country were the ones who owned everything, and they restricted access to all the places. And there was the mass trespass on Kinderscout, which it wasn't the first, but it was the major one, which actually... people actually got out and decided that they weren't going to stand for this anymore, and they were going to trespass over an area in Derbyshire. And it was a really good way of, that's where really everything has started from.
Right. Well, if we just ask Brain, can you just tell us what was the mass trespass?
Thinking. The mass trespass in the UK, which took place in 1932, was a pivotal event where around 400 protesters demanded access to privately owned countryside in the Peak District. Led by groups like the British Workers' Sports Federation and the British Young Communist League, they walked through Kinderscout facing clashes with gamekeepers and arrests. Although the immediate impact was limited, it drew attention to the issue of public access to the countryside, ultimately contributing to legislation like the Countryside and Rights of Way Act 2000, which granted greater access rights.
Wow, that's really interesting. So pretty much that opened it up for people to have the rights to walk where they wanted. Yes,
and after the war, the Second World War, there was the legislations that created the national parks. So that was a big thing as well, and meaning that there was a lot more access to the countryside all across the country.
Fabulous. So now I know where I'm going to walk. What equipment should we take with us?
Well, there's a lot of big things said about equipment for walking. Basically, all you need is a good pair of walking boots.
Right.
But that if you're going to get one thing, get a good pair of walking boots, and they should be the best that you can afford.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to be getting something that will get you up Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Just something that's going to be comfortable, that's going to last for a long time on the types of walks that you want to do. So if you're just starting out, it can be a relatively cheap pair, maybe 40 quid, 50 quid, that sort of price range, and that will help you keep your feet comfortable when you're going out on most low-level walks.
Is it better to have waterproof ones, do you think?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
You need to be looking at something to see what membranes they've got and what protection they've got on the upper part of the
Is it like they say with wellies to get bigger size? Do you do the same with walking boots?
You can do, because one of the great things about going out is that obviously you should layer, which means that you should be able to look at different items of clothing. Instead of having one thick layer, have lots of 2 or 3 thinner layers that you can actually then use. And when you get warm, as you do when you start walking and you get a bit more heated up, then you can take a layer off and then you can put a layer back on. But so if you have shoes that are boots that are just marginally, maybe half a size bigger, that'll allow you to wear some very thick walking socks, which will then help you feel more comfortable for your feet.
And the walking socks, again, they say there is walking socks. Is there any difference between walking socks and normal socks?
Yeah, walking socks tend to be thicker.
Right.
And they will help take moisture away from the skin.
Right.
And that's really where all outdoor clothing is different to, specific outdoor clothing is different to normal clothing. Lots of it is, it's called wicking, where it takes the sweat away from your skin. So that's when if you get cold and the perspiration is next to your skin, that's when you can get even colder. So taking it away from your skin, and then that's really where it's a good thing. So your socks also then give you protection on the balls of your feet and on the heel. Yeah. And then, again, that'll help you cushion when you're walking.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I said, you always see walking gear, don't you? And you never know if it's just given a label or if it is actually of use. Yeah. Tell me about walking in different weather. Should you only go in good weather or...?
No, I mean, it's completely up to you. I mean, if you've got decent gear, then, a good pair of walking boots, some walking trousers, which obviously then have a layer on, which water just comes off it. Yeah. And a decent Mac or a walking coat. Yeah. Something like that. You can get out in any weather.
Do you like walking in the rain? Because I actually love rain, if I'm honest.
Yes, yeah. I love walking in all conditions. Yeah. And I think that's really where you can see if you can't go to many places, and I think lots of people discovered this during COVID, is that if you're walking in a limited area, then you can find new things to look at in different weather conditions. So doing the same walk in all 4 seasons, you see different things.
Totally different, yeah. Totally different. It's like this time of year is lovely, isn't it? With the spring and the daffodils and things like that. Totally different to winter.
And you also get things like, if you're walking near reservoirs or areas of water, lots of trees around. In the middle of summer, your view will be restricted. Yeah. But in winter, when the trees are naked, you can see lots more of the actual landscape. So you've got much more flexibility, even if you're only doing the same walk. And of course, you can do the same walk one way and then come back the other way, and you're seeing different things.
So you've got your bag packed, and they always say to take a bottle of water. What else do you recommend taking with you on a walk? Food and water.
You should definitely take more water than what you need. Right. Because you never know if you get lost and you need to be able to keep hydrated, or if the weather gets, slightly warmer as you're walking around. Yeah. And obviously, the more you drink, the less you're going to be carrying on the way back. So it doesn't really matter.
It's always a bonus to drink.
That's always going to go. Yeah. I mean, some snacks obviously are good. Anything that's high in protein.
What sort of snacks do you take with you?
I mean, I take nuts with me, and also bananas, because they're high energy, slow release food. Yeah. There is the odd chocolate bar that will go in there occasionally. Yeah. So,
sneaks its way in the bag.
You never know. So I think something like that is good, and then you can get these sort of fibre bars and things like that, which are always good. But it's about trying to have something with you is a good idea.
For us, it's always a good excuse to have some Kendal mint cake.
Right. Well,
love it.
That we'll have to sort of disagree on that.
Oh, you don't like it?
No,
it's very sweet though, isn't it?
I know. I can't eat it.
No, I like it. So you do a lot of walks. You're known for doing a lot of walks. Do you ever do any overnight? And if you were to, what sort of equipment would you take with you?
Well, you can stay overnight. You're not allowed to camp out in England and Wales overnight anywhere in the country. You can't just really go and take a tent somewhere and pop it up in somebody's field. Yeah. But there is an accepted sort of way that you can do that. If you're going high on a mountain or something like that, if you're away from everybody, if you took yourself into a wall, next to a wall or in a corner, and you leave no mess, you take everything with you, it's generally accepted that will be not looked away from. If you're doing that.
Most people would go in a hostel, though, would they?
Definitely. I mean, there's lots of youth hostels around in very good walking places, and also the youth hostels are in many towns and cities now, which are also good for walking. Many people don't think about walking around a town or a city, but you can see some fantastic things if you're taking the time to be steady, and you can look up and see all the architecture, and you can see when buildings were made, and sometimes the names of the original shop owners are above that store, and you can see whether the store is still there, or whether it's a bank, or whether it's a
because generally you think of walks, and I personally only think of walks in the countryside, but it isn't, is it? Walks can be anywhere.
Walks can be anywhere, and that's the beauty of this. If many people think that it's about mountains and mint cake, but it's not necessarily. You can do it anywhere. You can walk around a city, walk around a town, and find lots of interest there. You can also walk around country parks. You get many people who say, I just went for a short walk. Well, no, you should take out the just. You went for a walk. That's the top and bottom of it.
It's a lovely thing to do. If we can just ask Brain, how much are hostels, roughly?
Thinking. The cost of staying in a youth hostel per night in the UK can vary depending on several factors, such as the location, facilities offered, time of year, and membership status. However, as a general guideline, prices for dormitory-style accommodation in shared rooms typically range from £15 to £25 per night for non-members. Members may receive discounted rates, usually around £3 to £5 per night. Booking in advance and considering membership can sometimes lead to additional savings.
See, I didn't even realise that you could be like a member of youth hostels. Is that what Brain was telling us?
Yes, and you can. And also the name youth hostels seems to imply that at a certain age you can't go, but it's not true. Anyone can go, anyone can stay, and there are in some brilliant walking places.
And does it say it's like a dormitory as well? I've never been in one.
There are those sorts of places still, and that's quite exciting. But also there are individual rooms and family rooms now, and it's evolved a lot since what people think.
I can imagine there being quite a buzz if there's a lot of like-minded people going on a walk. These places are literally all over the country, aren't they? Yeah. It can be a lovely place to meet people.
Certainly, and also in in the kitchen and in the dining room areas and that it's a great camaraderie. You're talking to people about where they've walked and where they've been, and you might pick up some hints and tips about different places to go.
And also pick up some walking friends for the next adventure.
Absolutely.
So, how safe is walking? Is there anything we should be aware of? Things we should take safety-wise going on a walk?
I think if you're going on low-level walking, you should be fine. The only dangers that you've got there is either getting lost,
blisters,
but then you're having good walking boots and good walking socks, so they're going to be minimised. The other thing, I guess, is just normal type of things of spraining your ankle or something like that, which can happen anywhere. When we're talking about going on more high-level walks on mountain or mountainous areas, that's when you could be in for more problems, pitfalls there, such as, if you do sprain your ankle there, you're in a bit of a pickle. So you need to be mindful of and be respectful of the areas that you're going. There's a particular set of mountains in the Lake District called Striding Edge, and that literally is a very, very cavernous drop on either side. And doing that is exhilarating and it's fantastic. There's some great landscapes there to view, but it's also very tricky. So you need to be looking at weather, and you need to be looking at the amount of safety that you think you need to do those sorts of things.
Do you generally take a first aid kit with you?
I would do, yes. I have one in my bag, and I think it's just useful to have that kind of security. Also, there's mountain rescue, so if things get really, really tricky for you, you shouldn't be afraid to contact mountain rescue, and they will come out and get you. But obviously, be mindful of that and respectful of that, because they are volunteers. And they'll be leaving jobs or leaving the family or whatever. So you know, you need to be mindful of right. But if you are in danger and you have a problem, then they're the people to.
Where would I get the number? Would I just Google the number of mountain rescue if I did get in a predicament?
You would just phone 999 and ask for mountain rescue.
Oh, right.
But obviously the other problem or challenges there is that in mountainous areas, mobile phone signals can be patchy.
Yes.
So it's better if you're walking in a group. If somebody has a problem, if somebody is down with some sort of illness or an injury, you leave them. You know, let one person stay there, and if you know the other person go down on a lower part of the hill to see if they can get a coverage. Obviously, emergency calls go through no matter what network you're on.
Right.
So providing there's a network available, it will route itself through.
Yeah.
The other one to look at is you can send a text message. So if you set this up first, you search online for emergency SMS, and it'll tell you all the information. You set this up before you go anywhere, and you can text the details of your position and things like that. There's a standard protocol of how to do it. And you text that, and texts often go through before when phone calls don't. So that's another way of doing that.
That's a really, really good thing to bear in mind. But also, you mentioned in there, you're probably safer walking with someone else, aren't you?
Yeah, I think there's a great amount of solace and solitude that you can get with walking on your own. Yeah. But I think if you go into part of the bliss of walking is to push your comfort zone. Yes. You know, and start to deliver yourself onto different levels of walks and more challenging walks, and that's a good thing to be doing with somebody else, especially if they know that area better.
When I go on walks, I tend to go for a purpose of taking my dogs, as you yourself do. What things should we take into consideration when taking pets? And it's not always dogs, is it?
No.
People do take cats even.
Yep.
So what should we take into consideration taking pets on walks?
Well, obviously, there's dangers if you're walking in a city centre or if you're crossing major roads. There's a danger there of obviously cars and traffic. The other thing to look at is, I think, is the amount of other livestock in fields around the walk. You know, so lots of people let their dogs off, and that's completely fine. But you must know that be confident that they will come back. Yes. They've got adequate recall to come back. If your dog is found threatening sheep or worrying livestock, a farmer is legitimately able to shoot that dog. Wow. So you must obviously keep your dog or pet under control. Yeah. And if you're going on a footpath where the other side, both sides isn't open access land, if your dog goes onto that, then that's trespass. As well, so you have to be careful of that. But you can take. There is a fallacy that there are areas where you can't take a dog. There isn't. You can on public footpaths, on bridleways, you can take your animal with you no matter what. Yeah. But I think if you're not certain about the fact that they will come back when they see some amazing sheep in the distance and they want to, like my border collies, if they've got want to go off and round them up, then maybe a lead would be the best thing. Yeah. And lots of people think also that lead walking for dogs is a bad thing. But that means that they can slow down, they can take in their environment, and they often go for sniffing there, which is good for the brains.
It's a lovely thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's a brilliant way of spending more time with your dogs, or dog if you've just got one. And then it's just it's lovely because you can take them with you, and it's something that you're both doing together. Yeah,
nice. We said before about walking with friends. Is it better, do you think, to walk with friends or walk with groups of friends? And one thing I did want to ask as well about walking in the National Trust. And are there any rules and regulations that you know of walking in these kind of places?
Well, I think with friends, it's good if you want to have that company. Going on a walk with friends means that you're chatting, and it's a great way of catching up with people.
It's a great stress buster as well, isn't it?
I mean, and you can, especially lots more companies now are finding that going for a walk with the team leads to team building and team bonding, and they're chatting through issues and things like that. So, and that's a good way of doing it. Yeah. The National Trust owns a lot of land in England and Wales. The National Trust for Scotland is in Scotland, and in Northern Ireland it's the National Trust for England and Wales and Northern Ireland. Yeah. So all of these places, that they have great walks available. There's
And
often great
beautiful
walks.
places.
Absolutely, and great parts of history of our heritage. But they've got great walks available. Lots of them have booklets or things online, walks online that you can then have a look at. The things to look at there is to make sure that you're sticking to the routes that are provided.
Yeah.
Not all of the National Trust properties have that open access thing, so you can go on any of the land. So you need to be looking at where you can walk.
Yeah. Someone did mention before about taking photos in the National Trust. Can we just ask Brain, are there any rules and regulations about taking photographs in the National Trust areas?
Thinking. Yes, you can generally take photos at National Trust properties, but there may be some restrictions depending on the specific property and its rules. Many National Trust sites allow visitors to take personal photographs for non-commercial use, including capturing the beauty of the surroundings, historic buildings, gardens and landscapes. However, commercial photography, such as for advertising or professional purposes, may require special permission or permits. It's always a good idea to check with the specific National Trust property you plan to visit to understand their photography policies and any guidelines they may have in place.
And just one of the main things about walking is it's very good for your health, isn't it?
Oh yes, definitely.
In what way, just express a little bit more, in what way is it good for our health?
Well, it's good for our heart, it's good for the respiratory system, it's good in also, as well as physical health, it's good for mental health.
Yes, definitely.
So that ability to get out and to enjoy the countryside is a great stress reliever.
Yes,
so there's a lot of
releases endorphins, isn't it?
It does,
so you get that real great feeling.
Yeah, and also, you want to be looking at trying to get out of breath a little bit, because you're doing some work there. But the way we are designed to be mobile animals.
Yes.
We have the ability to get out, and fortunately in this country we have some really good places to walk, and it's a great way of increasing your stamina and a great way to look after your health.
I think, like you touched on mentally wise as well, it's when you walk, I love to explore. So to go somewhere new, you get a buzz out of that, don't you? You get a buzz out of walking along a path, and then you see a little gate or a little stile and you think, I wonder where that's going to take me. And it is a lovely feeling, isn't it, to think, what's behind this wall?
Yes,
what's
and also,
behind this?
Also, it's lovely to think that, throughout history, not just 5 years ago, but 50, 100 years ago, people were walking on this area. Yeah. Maybe there's parts of the Lake District where they didn't have churches in one place, so there's certain coffin routes where they used to bring coffins from one village to the church.
Fab.
And these are the kind of things that we have that history and that heritage in this country, so we were able to sort of dive back into the past and bring it to life.
I love, we've been on your walks before, and I love when you're walking along a path and you're kind of imagining the people that have trod that path before, and you are a wealth of knowledge with the history of walks as well. So you walk along and all of a sudden you'll be like, and if you look to your left, and it's like the whole world just opens up to you because you're learning so much about what used to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely fabulous. But we will wrap it up there for today, Andrew, until the next time, because there's a lot of things we can talk about. So thank you very much, Andrew.
You're very welcome.
Goodbye. Have a great day.